Hey Jimmy, it's Patrick Kielty saying a big hello from Studio 4 of RT here in Dublin, Ireland, home to the Late Late Show for over 60 years. Now, during that time, there have, of course, been many in power who have wanted our show off air, and yet our bosses have never considered shutting us down. Tonight, we're extending the hand of free speech and freedom to let you know
Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, even Jay reached out. I heard from late night hosts in other countries, from Ireland and from Germany. The guy in Germany offered me a job. Can you imagine?
Once again, Irish television finds itself caught in a storm it never expected, a storm born not in Dublin or Cork or Galway, but thousands of miles away in Los Angeles. A storm that began with Jimmy Kimmel, one of America's late-night kings, and ended with Patrick Kielty, Ireland's newest torchbearer of the Late Late Show, suddenly standing in the crossfire of free speech, censorship, outrage, and viral glory. Tonight, we dig deep into the story that has shaken both sides of the Atlantic. A story that's not just about what was said, but about what it means when a joke costs you your platform, when solidarity costs you your audience, and when one man's monologue can divide a nation. It all began in America. A fatal shooting, a polarizing figure, and a late-night host who decided not to tiptoe around the truth. Charlie Kirk, a name many associate with the MAGA movement, was killed. For some, Kirk was a fighter for conservative values. For others, he was a lightning rod of division, a provocateur who lived by the sword of controversy. His death immediately split opinion, sending shockwaves through the media. But then came Jimmy Kimmel. Sitting in his Los Angeles studio, he addressed the tragedy with the sharp, sarcastic bite that has defined his career.
Adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay? New lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
The MAGA gang, he said, are desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. Those words landed like a bomb. To Kimmel's critics, it was a grotesque moment, exploiting a killing to attack a political movement. To his supporters, it was raw honesty, cutting through spin and hypocrisy. But networks don't deal in nuance. They deal in sponsors, in optics, in risk. And almost overnight, Jimmy Kimmel's show was pulled from the air. Suspended.
Jimmy Kimmel did nothing but point out some of the hypocrisy of these fascists. And for this, he is being canceled and he is being threatened to speak and go after anybody.
Monologue. Kimmel suggested that the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk might have been a pro-Trump Republican. He said,
saying what millions were already screaming online. Some called it accountability. Others called it censorship. Either way, America's late-night landscape was suddenly missing one of its loudest voices. And across the ocean, in Dublin, Patrick Kielty was watching. The new host of RT's Late Late Show, still fresh in the chair, still proving himself to the Irish public, decided that he wasn't going to ignore this moment. Instead, he leaned into it. As his second show of the season opened on September 19th, he delivered a monologue that would make headlines for weeks to come.
Hey Jimmy, it's Patrick Kielty saying a big hello from Studio 4 of RT here in Dublin, Ireland, home to the Late Late Show for over 60 years. Now, during that time, there have, of course, been many in power who have wanted our show off air, and yet our bosses have never considered shutting us down. Tonight, we're extending the hand of free speech and friendship to let you know that you're always welcome here. So if you ever need a studio or a desk or an audience or a band, we're here for you. And most importantly of all, Jimmy, this is Ireland, so we can promise that you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Looking straight into the camera, he sent a message across the Atlantic. Supporters applauded Kielty's defiance, his cheek, his solidarity. He wasn't just hosting a talk show, he was planting a flag for free speech in an age when free speech seemed under attack. He was standing shoulder to shoulder with Jimmy Kimmel, a fellow host punished for words, and saying, "Not here, not us, not Ireland." But while social media was applauding, Ireland's living rooms were reacting very differently. Because that night, something unusual happened. 61,000 viewers switched off the Late Late Show. Audience numbers dropped from 435,000 the previous week to 374,000. On the RT player, streams plunged from 72,000 to 49,300. For a show that had only just roared back with Hollywood A-listers Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell the week before, this was a sharp dip. A warning shot. A crack in the armor. And suddenly the question wasn't just, should Jimmy Kimmel have been suspended? The question was, should Patrick Kielty have said what he said at all? Critics called it tone deaf. How could Kielty stand in solidarity with a host punished for controversial remarks about a killing? Why drag Irish audiences into America's messy culture wars? Why risk alienating the very people who tune in every Friday night? Was he speaking to the Irish people, or was he chasing viral clicks from abroad? And yet, isn't that exactly the point? Isn't that the crossroads the Late Late Show now faces? On one hand, the loyal Irish TV audience, many of whom have been watching for decades, expecting comfort, conversation, and a mix of politics and entertainment rooted in home. On the other hand, the new reality, an internet-driven world where clips are currency, where one viral moment can reach millions, far beyond the limits of Irish living rooms. Which matters more? The 61,000 who tuned out, or the millions who tuned in online? Let's be honest, the Late Late Show has never been afraid of controversy. Gay Byrne tackled taboo topics that no one else dared touch. Ryan Tubridy faced scandals and political backlash. Every host has had a defining moment when the safe path was abandoned for the risky road. This, it seems, is Patrick Kielty's. But there's a twist. Because while past controversies were usually Irish, church scandals, social issues, political debates, this one is imported. This is Ireland dragged into America's culture war via Patrick Kielty's mouth. And maybe that's what unsettled so many viewers. Ask yourself, did Kielty misread the room? Or was he reading a different room altogether? Not the one filled with Irish families on their couches, but the digital room filled with TikTokers and Twitter users scrolling for the next viral clip? Did he forget that the Late Late Show is first and foremost an Irish institution, not a global stage? Or did he understand perfectly that in 2025, no show survives without global reach? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Patrick Kielty lost 61,000 viewers but gained 3.5 million clicks. Which one really matters? Which one pays off in the long run? Which one keeps the Late Late Show alive in an era when traditional TV is dying? Maybe Kielty wasn't just standing up for Kimmel. Maybe he was standing up for himself. Maybe he was making a statement that he won't play it safe, that he won't tiptoe around taboos, that if Jimmy Kimmel can be silenced in America, then Ireland needs to show the world that it won't silence its hosts. That Ireland will be the place where comedy can still breathe. That the Late Late Show will not go quietly into irrelevance. But at what cost? That's the question gnawing at RT today. Do you risk alienating your traditional audience? The grandmothers, the parents, the families who have watched for decades, for the sake of going viral with younger, global audiences who may never tune into a full episode? Do you risk losing your roots in order to chase relevance abroad? Is that bravery, or is it recklessness? Recklessness? And now, the real debate begins. Was Patrick Kielty's speech a triumph of free speech, a reminder that comedy must be bold, that television must provoke? Or was it a reckless gamble, a tone-deaf attempt at solidarity with a host punished for a grotesque remark? Did he make you proud, or did he make you cringe? Was this courage or carelessness? Because here's the haunting question. If you were Patrick Kielty, would you have done it? Would you have stood in solidarity with Jimmy Kimmel, knowing 61,000 people might switch off? Or would you have kept it local, kept it safe, avoided America's mess, and played to your home crowd? Which choice is the braver one? Which choice is the wiser one? And perhaps most importantly, is this the moment that defines Patrick Kielty's Late Late Show? The moment he takes it global, or the moment he loses the Irish audience that gave it life? So now I put it to you, did Patrick Kielty light a fire under the Late Late Show, or did he set it on a path to its downfall? Should the Late Late stay Irish, or should it chase the world? Should it play safe, or should it play with fire? The Late Late Show has always thrived on controversy. But the question in 2025 is, who decides what really matters now? The hundreds of thousands watching in their living rooms, or the millions scrolling on their phones? And if those two audiences are no longer the same, then which one will Patrick Kielty choose?